Hello, everyone. Doc here, and welcome to the newest edition of Dr. Clark's Opinions. Now, this has been quite a while since I last did this, and as a reminder for those who don't know, the Dr. Clark's Opinions or Doc's Opinions now series of videos is a more casually edited, less scripted version of me giving my subjective and sometimes objective opinions on different things that I consume and maybe that you consume as well. If you listen to our previous podcast, it would be basically a singular version of that in a way. But this one is special because it is about a movie that I recently saw in theaters, the Super Mario Brothers film. So right off the bat, I would go ahead and say this is amongst the top 5 best video game adaptation theatrical films that I've seen. It's not the best to me. That still goes to a film that's not theatrical, but it's Street Fighter Assassin's Fist, or Street Fighter Unsutsuken, depending on how you pronounce it. One thing I want to say about this film is Super Mario Bros. Or Brothers. It is not an amazingly well written movie in terms of the plot. The plot isn't original, it's very generic, but generic isn't a bad thing, because hey, generic medicine, generic eating utensils, if it gets the job done, then it gets the job done, and it does, because with how generic the plot is, it allows for the characterizations and everything else surrounding it to be done correctly. One thing too I want to add in is the animation. Illumination, from what I've known and what I've seen, is known for being amongst the big tentpole animation studios, especially when it comes to CGI, for being probably the cheapest in terms of how they animate them. I don't necessarily agree as much as most people would, but this film, it has astonishing animation, and again, when you look at this budget, the budget is $100 million. And speaking of that, this film has made, as the recording of this video, over $800 million in the worldwide box office. So it has already broken many records when it comes to different types of films, especially video game films. It's the highest grossing theatrical video game movie of all time. But yes, the animation is beautiful throughout the movie. Another thing that I would also have to say is the voice acting. The voice acting from every one of the cast is excellent. Even Chris Pratt, because I know a lot of people did not like Chris Pratt's regular Mario voice. But they do something, for those who haven't seen the film, and for those who have seen, you will know. They basically referenced Mario's video game voice in several ways in the movie. By one, having his original voice actor come back in some way, and two, by having Chris Pratt change his voice for any certain event. And that goes to show, I know many people are weary of having professional actors, mostly live action actors, to portray voiced characters and animated characters. You know, that's the same things that the DC animated films essentially was criticized for until they got the mark correct. But I will say all of the voices fit for how the characters are written. My favorite character in this movie, with all honesty, I know a lot of people say Bowser, but my favorite character in this movie is Luigi. Luigi's characterization is the most accurate to all of his adaptations in the source material, while still adding a sense of flair to them. How Luigi's personality was and how he is juxtaposed by his brother was done perfectly. They didn't make him seem to be a humongous coward, but they still showed that his character amongst the other films and hopefully spin-offs in this series, it has to go through character growth to be the hero that he knows that he could be. And then I would say my second favorite character in the film is Bowser, but Bowser is a lot of people's number one favorite. Not to me, but it's a close. And that's kind of the thing with this film, is that the film doesn't do one thing amazingly well. It does almost everything pretty well, even especially the pacing. Once the film got into the 3/5 mark, I would say, or the third quarter of 5 quarters that I perceived, the pacing never felt dull. The pacing continuously ramped up, and it never felt authentically rushed or inauthentically rushed. And I like that. Many films do not get pacing correctly. And this film, especially after the midway point or 3/5 in, it was excellent. So all in all, I recommend for those who haven't seen the film, if you are able to see it in theaters, hopefully you can see it on a matinee ticket. So basically a lower price ticket. But if you want to pay full price and you want to do something for a good afternoon or evening, I recommend that too. I can see that if this movie was what Detective Pikachu could have been in terms of how well it did box office wise, we would have already had a second Detective Pikachu film. Like, they've already started producing sequels to this movie and spin-offs. So all in all, thank you Illumination and Universal and Nintendo for helping making more and more great video game adaptations. People praise the Sonic films, and people who watched it praise Street Fighter Assassin's Fist, and then Street Fighter animated movie, and Street Fighter 2 V, and the Mortal Kombat Legends films, and the original 90s movie. This one stands amongst the best of those and beyond. If anyone would like to see my review, my standard review, in terms of me giving a scripted, very well edited, focused opinion on certain topics, like I have done in previous things, I want this to get at least 10 likes within the first 3 to 4 days that it's out. If it does, then I will make a focused review on it. But if that is all, everyone, if you enjoy it, please subscribe, like, and comment. It helps with the algorithm. Help yourself to all of our previous videos, including our interviews and shorts. But that will be all. Thank you, everyone. Doc signing out.